So one day I texted my sisters a picture of shoes, because ladies be talking about shoes. And then because I'm me, I texted a picture of a poem I recently read and loved. Then they responded. Which is when I realized I had two choices. One, I could explain how the engine under the hood of this poem works. But I mean, come on, who has time for that? Or I could figure out a way to explain what the poem means in a way that was a lot more fun for me too. And that's how the poetry Unpuzzler was born. I have a confession. I didn't know what the poem meant either. I just liked it. Because when I read poetry for fun, my process is pretty simple. It goes something like this. Number 1, read a poem. If you're someone who likes to read info cards at museums, read books before movies, or cyberstalk a person's Instagram before you meet them at coffee, then you too can read the poem Comets in the section under this video. Just hit pause and do it. I'll wait for you. But if you don't, you're still a good person. Number 2, after reading the poem, I then decide, or I don't really go beyond that. Then there's the unspoken third step of moving on with my life. But my sister raised a good point. What did the poem mean? So I looked at it again. I liked the poem because there were two kinds of stanzas in it. The first kind of stanza is just weird. It's filled with a lot of fantastical poetry things. The second kind of stanza just seems plain. You might even be thinking, why is it in the poem? Is it even poetry? I showed the poem to a friend and asked him what he thought it meant. We were at Starbucks. So, what do you think? No. What do you think first? No. What do you think first? Well, it makes me think about how writers write. Like, they wish that they had words that flashed out of their mouths, like comets, but every time they try, they actually get pulled back to Earth. That's the reality, but they still try. You know what I mean? Whoa, I didn't think of that at all. But you're right, because it's like you want creation to burst out of you, but the truth is just not as pretty as that. What did you think it meant? I just thought how there's this back and forth between fantasy and reality. Reality always interrupts the fantasy, but the fantasy makes reality beautiful. We need both to appreciate each one. It's like a comet, I think. Comets are these magical, fantastic, but totally realistic things. They aren't in our lives, but suddenly, there they are. And when they loop through, it's amazing. Whoa, I really like that thought. And then we had coffee. Hey everyone, thanks for joining me today for my first episode. I hope you enjoyed it. If you would like to learn more about Comets or the author who wrote it, that's Richard Brautigan. I was first introduced to him by a friend who would buy his books at used bookstores and then just pass them out to people who he thought would enjoy them. But this particular version has 3 of his books inside of it. I've left a link to that version underneath this video. The first one is his most famous book, I think, and I've just never read it. The second one is the poetry book that has the poem Comets in it. And the third one, if I remember correctly, is this poetry sci-fi story about a commune, maybe, that has tombs underneath rivers and burning and or sinister or bright tigers. So if that sounds interesting to you, you'll probably love it. Thank you.